There is a talk in the air that Trump is doubling down on making an agreement. I don't care if it makes me sound like I'm drunk and I almost wanted to get a martini. This is Chironic wounds. We're all collectively juicing down with this Chironic wound. Well, when you have war between twins or brothers, you have war between neighbors. It may also involve a UFO disclosure as well. We don't move through time. Time moves through us. That was given to me in a dream about a decade ago. Welcome to the astrology for the week ahead, the week of June the 1st to the 7th, where we're going to notice some Chironic healing. The place where we've been kind of feeling ouchy or wounded that began in 2019 is trying to finish up with a mercurial story, which means information, news, or conversations that can help us move past what has been sort of under our be in our bonnet or under our skin for quite a long time, individually and collectively. Particularly, of course, Chiron in the sign of Aries can be about the war and the wounds of war, war wounds, wounds of war, collectively and individually. Of course, we have wars in our own lives, battling with our weight, battling with our work schedule, battling with our health, battling with our partner. So war, conflict, general healing. However, also this week ahead, welcome to that story. We're going to see that Juno, the goddess, what we agree to. That can be like a peace treaty agreement. That can be an agreement in our marriage partnerships, a contractual agreement with somebody in our lives where we said we do it, whether it's literally legally binding or not. There's going to be a Martian square. And that Martian square to Juno and Pluto together is intense. And it's also quite rare. We need to have Pluto and Aquarius. We need to have Juno there. And we need to have Mars and Taurus. So all said and done, it's kind of personal lifetime. So we're going to talk about what that like fracture point might look like midweek, and the week's opening it with healing, fracturing energy right after. I don't know if to call it a Chironic healing or an agreement fracture, but we'll figure it out. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lori Lothian, and this is Lunatic Astrology. And this is Western Tropical Astrology, and we're using the whole sign house system. If you're new to the whole sign house system, worry not. Check my description box below, and there's a free video tutorial on how to cast your chart in whole sign houses. And if you have a birth time, find your rising sign. That's free, it's easy to use, and the link is down below. You know, the thing about astrology is it tells the future, it tells the past, and it tells the now. It tells everything. It's a time map, right? And one thing I want to say about when I look at the week ahead stuff, I'm often looking for the slice of the bright spot for every one of us. I'm looking for the thing that makes us smile. But I'm a little bit worried when it comes to Pluto squaring Juno. I'm quite upset by the fact that it may mean a negation of peace, because as I record this for you today on Monday, May 25th, and this is coming out Monday, June the 1st, there is a talk in the air that Trump is doubling down on making an agreement and a 2-month ceasefire treaty kind of vibe with Iran based on the pressure from the Arab countries and the regional countries, and that there is possibly going to be a solution, at least in the short term, to what looks like that problem in the Middle East and Israel and Iran. Well, we're going to bring it up to this week. I'll be showing you the sky about where I think it could unwind or fall apart, because the nation of Iran does have its sun around, it's midheaven around 10 degrees of Taurus or so. Memory serves me, but is a fracture point in the sign of Taurus. We'll pull up the Iran chart as well. In today's video, we'll have an extended chart selection at the end, extended members only conversation about this guy. And that's just to go into a little bit more depth about the world astrology than I will here. For most of you, I'm going to keep it simple. A very simple story of healing that Chironic wound with a bit of information, an idea or conversation that you'll feel coming into Monday, into Tuesday, followed by the midweek, perhaps crosshairs moment where you want to break an agreement and you're coming to terms where the fracture might happen with something you have agreed to, with someone you have agreed to. And we'll cover that in general, that vibe this week ahead. And there's some good news. Mercury's moving into the sign of Cancer this week ahead, where he's joining the Venus-Jupiter pending conjunction of June the 9th. And that June 9th conjunction will have a video dedicated to it because it's so empowering, gives you one glorious, effortless success energy over the course of a year. And that's coming up. That video description is coming out on Thursday, June the 4th. Let's get started, shall we? Welcome to my channel. And don't forget, try me out by liking and subscribing. If you're at all interested in anything about me, in the description box below, more ... you'll find website information and my Substack column and my Patreon community where I teach classes and more. If you are wanting to celebrate with me, use the code CELEBRATE, all capital letters. for 40% off more than a dozen courses that I've taught over the years. Finding your past lives in the chart, finding your people in the chart, finding your spouses in the chart, finding your talents and gifts in your career path of the chart, and more. Those courses are now on resale at 40% off because I am celebrating reaching 150,000 subscribers here on YouTube in the month of May. And by the time you watch this, I might be at 151. But it's still a celebration. It lasts until the end of June. So go ahead and grab those courses at LoriLothian.com. All the information, website link is in the description box below. All right, guys, I'm just recording this for you because I'm moving, packing boxes. I'm in the middle of a move. And I just finished a 2.5-hour video. Yeah. And I forgot that I hadn't done Monday. So just to tell you, normally I don't necessarily talk this fast. I can be quick speaking, but today I will be talking quickly because I'm literally in the middle of packing boxes and moving. And this is Monday, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are all moving days. So bear with the speed. You can always slow me down on the little settings where you can slow down the playback speed. All right. That's no big deal. I don't care if you make me sound like I'm drunk and I almost wanted to get a martini. It's only 3:00 in the afternoon. So I thought that wouldn't be a good idea to get this video done for you. But if you slow me down, I can pretend I had a midday martini and all will be well. You know what I mean? So crazy. Oh my God. Well, I wasn't even going to share this with you before we open up the chart, but I'm so enchanted by my crystal ball. It's not crystal, it's pyrite, and which is fool's gold. I grew up with a lot of that in a little mining town in Northern Ontario, and it's by Otter Spirit, and this jewelry on my arm and all that. I'm an Otter Spirit affiliate, and I love their AAA grade gems, and this is their spheres. I opened up like, turquoise and malachite and obsidian for protection, and this one is I got this one. Yes, pyrite. Success flows effortlessly. Why the hell not? And they're astrologically accurate jewels. So prosperity is the intention. It's greatly good for Leo, Sag. Who else is there? Aries and Scorpio. It's good for the solar plexus. Okay. If you're into this kind of thing, you're going to love otterspirit.com. Check it out below. I've got a code for 2 codes, 20% off and 30% off for all of my viewers here, depending on whether you buy stuff under or over $100. Go check it out below and enjoy this precious cool thing. I'm not going to share the website with you. Otterspirit.com, information below, discount code, jewels, gems, all astrologically accurate and beautifully packaged as well. And of course, this is great for giving a gift. Cheer your friends on, your fam, your kids with this kind of stone. Because if you have friends who don't wear jewelry, especially this kind of beaded stuff that I love, these are all Otter Spirit, then what you're going to end up doing is giving them a gift they won't want. But everyone kind of likes a round sphere in their home, right? That portends something sitting on a stand on your mantle or on your desk. All right, so let's go ahead. Let me show you the chart. And let's roll through this in about an hour. This is the sky. Welcome to the sky. This is pinned to Aries. This is going to be Tuesday, June the 2nd. We're rolling through June the 1st to the 7th, starting on Monday. But as we begin on Monday, the first thing that is of a notice, and you might be feeling it coming into the weekend. So you might feel it Sunday, Monday. You might be feeling Sunday, Monday, that there's something healing here. This is Chironic wounds. We're all collectively juicing down with this Chironic wound since February of 2019. Chiron entered the sign of the soldier, the warrior, conflict and battle. And of course, we had the Ukraine war with Russia. We had the Middle Eastern conflict starting in October of 2023, and it continues on. When Asteroid Chiron was traveling with Asteroid Child in August of last year, all April of last year, 25, but by August, there was a famine declared in GAZA with pictures of undernourished, malnourished, and bone-thin children. And then when Asteroid Child was traveling exactly with Chiron in August of last year, news stories broke about a famine, man-made famine in that part of the world through war and withholding of food supplies by one particular hornet's nest nation in the Middle East. And so honestly, the sky is extremely literal. So in your own life and in the world, probably it'll be a feeling maybe that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, right? This feels like maybe a healing archetype because it's a sextile, the nature of Venus. Something good is trying to happen in the wounds of war. And Mercury happens to be at the anaretic last degree, and so does Chiron. And Mercury is in the sign of the brothers, right? The twins. So those twins, those brothers, that Castor and Pollux archetype is active. Well, when you have war between twins or brothers, you have war between neighbors and war between people of a similar ethnic group. And we do see often with the twins energy civil war as well. But we see the war archetype at the completion degree, which is turbulent, but could be important on the bound of Saturn. I didn't draw the bound of Saturn, but this is Saturn's piece of real estate, the last 4 degrees, 5 degrees or so of the sign of Aries. And then over here is Mercury. Now, Mercury here is information or news in your own life. Where have you felt wounded? We'll cover that in the all signs since 2019. So Aries are having an existential I am wound. And this is some kind of information or news that could feel like a Band-Aid or a balm. It could feel like a soothing moment. It could be a mental clarity, an idea. It could be something to do with a phone call, a text that helps soothe the wound that's been bothering each of us individually in our lives. And the whole sign, Aries part of our chart, could be your marriage, could be your kids, could be your money. We'll do that in the all signs for this week ahead. And this is really an important turning point of trying to collectively and individually get some information, news, or ideas that help us clear this wounded part of our chart here. Also, in the news cycle, Mercury and Gemini, right? Donald Trump's sun is in Gemini. Very possibly, very feasibly, Trump is coming out with some announcements or news stories right out of his old mouth, right? And so we might see Trumpian announcements. It's very possible. And why would we see Trumpian announcements? Because of this. What is this? It's Asteroid America crossing the 29-degree ascendant closer and closer this week ahead of Donald Trump. And his ascendant at 29 degrees, Donald Trump's ascendant, does this. And this creates what we call a miniature grand trine. It can be called a talent triangle, but it's also primarily positive. And so this week will be the asteroid America approaching slowly his ascendant, his nature of being, his Mars. His Mars is at 26 degrees here of the sign Donald Trump of Leo. So I can only imagine Trump, whose sun is up here in Gemini with Uranus and the North Node, will be opening up some information or disclosure or conversation. Now, I said disclosure because Uranus is traveling with asteroid Urania. I'm not going to draw it in. Urania is outer space, okay? Planets, outer space. So it may also involve a UFO disclosure as well as announcements and news about situations in war. And that will be coming through our sky most likely. It could be as early as Saturday, and it could be as late as the end of the day, Monday, early Tuesday. This is a story that's quite active. As time progresses, which it tends to do, ironically, but it's an illusion. I had a dream years ago. We don't move through time. Time moves through us. That was given to me in a dream about a decade ago. As time moves through us, we're going to notice this. Pluto and Juno together in the sign of Aquarius. Juno is about what we agree to. This is happening on the ascendant and the moon of China, FYI. And there's like you're going to make a trade agreement. You need Juno to agree. You're going to make a marriage vow. You're going to divorce, break an agreement. But Juno's kind of like your divorce goddess and your union goddess. She goes both ways in relationships. She's no different in other agreements we make, whether they're peace treaties or trade agreements. So there's some kind of agreement structure here that Juno is trying to fortify in Aquarius, a sign of economics, societal structures, and maybe societal economic structures as well. And we see this coming to a intensity in a square to Mars, right? Building up on Monday, and we're going to move ourselves forward, but also ironically in a trine to the sun, an air trine. So 2 things are happening at once. And I'm not exactly sure what this is going to mean, because Uranus is at the bending of the nodes of fate and will be for quite a while, and because for the next month, and because Urania is with Uranus, there's major fated turning point stories connected to the sky, space, outer space. I know there's a lot of aerospace scientists and energy research scientists who've gone missing, maybe now 16 since 2022. Maybe there's disclosures about that. I don't know. All right. So let me progress the chart and take you forward a little bit. So I want you to watch that we're on Monday and we're going to go on to Tuesday. And now we're at Wednesday. And by Wednesday, the Mars square to the agreements has waned or it's in the other side of it, and the sun as well. So the most intense part of this week ahead really truly is the first 3 days of the week, because as we move forward, and Iran's sun is somewhere around 10, not sun, midheaven is somewhere around 10 degrees of Taurus. Trust me, I don't have to look at it again. And so fractures against the midheaven of Iran could look like agreements the government has made, or China getting in the mix, or some kind of agreement fractures to do with Taurian places. Okay, so the sun of Israel is in Taurus, so Taurus, Israel's sun could be disagreeing with leadership with an agreement that was made, which of course we know what agreement was made, right? The agreement that was made was to supposedly, as of May 25th, don't know if it's going to hold, put a moratorium of 2 months on the Strait of Hormuz problem, open it up, and in month 2 of this process begin to negotiate the removal of the nuclear enrichment stuff, which Iran won't do because they don't want to become Syria or Libya, right? They don't want to end up that happening to them. What do you think North Korea is being left alone because of? Because it's nuclear deterrence. So Iran's nuclear program actually is a stabilizer for the Middle East, except for some countries who want that country in civil chaos or rubble. That's one country in particular. What I'm going to say about this is that Mars can be damaging or difficult to the leadership of Iran, probably because Mars is in detriment on the midheaven of Iran. Well, there's a fracturing energy here as well. So I'm not sure exactly what that will look like yet. We'll all have to wait and see with bated breath. And the Prime Minister of Israel has his ascendant here at 9 degrees. Okay. So that means his ascendant is opposite the sun, by the way, which can be putting him into opposition energetically with Trump, because Trump has his sun in Gemini, not at 12 degrees, but archetypally. And then we also would say, okay, there's a formation here happening, right? Like we can make a story about a basket forming or something like that. Not really, because this is an inversion. So more likely the best thing I can say, there's a wedge here. There's a wedge forming. But it's complicated and I'm exhausted. So I'm going to clear that drawing. And what I'm going to bring your attention to next is how the sky progresses this week. And then we're going to do your sign. And then at the end, I'm going to talk more world politics, just for my members only, with a little bit more freedom from shadow banning and demonetization. So if you want to join my members only community, every Monday you get extended members version content. So here we have it. This is the energy of the sky on June the 5th. Now we're moved on to Friday. I just want to show you what it looks like. This conjunction between Jupiter and Venus isn't here yet. It's not really even an engagement, but it will be here on June the 9th. And it's starting to build up a massive positive blowout energy, glory, goodness, positivity that will last until August of 2027 in our individual charts and in the collective. So I want you to pay attention to that. It's engaging by the time we get to Sunday, and it will be exact on the 9th, which is Tuesday, June of 2026. You'll notice that Asteroid America is continuing to trundle along, and I think it's important to pay attention because it will be exactly once every 5 years, this is possible. It will be exactly on Trump's ascendant around June 18th. And unfortunately, this America asteroid, which can often represent USA, the dollar bill symbol, sometimes you could say the Americas, and the only thing I worry about there would be Cuba. But you can see that that's not good, because what's happening as the moon hits the south node is some loss for America. I don't know what the letting go, the surrender, the loss, or the downdraft will be. It's pretty exact as we move closer to around June 23rd to the 25th. All right. So we'll be keeping our eye on that story and see what that brings to our attention. There have been eclipses here. So it's running eclipse energy that's been going through 2025. And the last eclipse was in March of 2020. There was an eclipse here in the fall. It was around the time Charlie Kirk was unalived, and in Virgo. And there was also eclipse here in March. And these are going over Netanyahu's midheaven in Virgo. But all said and done, I don't think that's a good sign for the USA, right? We're talking about the third week of June. And if you guys have any ideas about what that could be about, let me know. I don't know for sure, but there is an intense square from shock and awe Uranus. And for the United States, Uranus is in the house of the open enemies to the United States of America, right? And in America, this can represent the energy of the 10th house, which for the United States of America can represent, no, not the 10th. Yeah, the 10th house, my brain. It's leadership, executive leadership branch. I don't know. There's something going on that doesn't feel good because the Uranus square at the nodal bendings with Asteroid America, South Node bending there, spending the North Node, but this is the South Node lost to America. Mercury's ruling it. Mercury is on Jupiter, the natal Jupiter of America at the time, who's having a Jupiter return in the 8th house. And in a national chart, that's a house of mass death. The worst case scenario is there's some kind of retribution. Mars is not in great dignity. He's your person who lobs a detonating device into a public space, right? You know, the word starts with T. The worst case about that is I wouldn't even believe it was a T event, Terror. I wouldn't even believe it anymore. I would think that was planted by as an operation to gin up a reason to go back to war with Iran. So that does all concern me. But let's see what this looks like. It's not a big deal because it's a minor asteroid. It's just a square to Uranus, who's bending the nodes, that gives me pause, right? To say the very least. So no surprise that, well, I'm not going to say anymore. I'll save that for my members only section. We're going to talk about all signs. We're going to start with Aries. And we're going to talk about getting through this week ahead and what my suggestions are and what I think some of the highlights are for you. Now I've gone all the way to June, so let's come back way out in the future, third week of June. We'll start here Tuesdays. All right, let's go ahead. And with Mercury joining in here, that's important, more important for the conjunction of June 9th than anything else. So we'll be drawing our attention to that in the all signs portion for June 9th. That video comes out on June the 4th, a Thursday. Definitely look for that. It's going to be 2 hours and 17 minutes long. I really dove into each separate sign for a long time because it's your guidance for the next year, not for this week. I mean, that conjunction will guide your life over 14 months afterward. And let's go back to the non-pinned Aries. Edit the chart. I will be talking fast. I got a sore throat and I have to pack. So hang in there with me and be kind. But I need to finish packing. Tomorrow's a moving day. And we're going to start with Aries. Your sun sign, your career and purpose, your moon sign, your home nest, your moon sign, your emotions, thoughts, your sun sign, your true essential core nature, your spiritual essence. The rising sign is how you are operating as an avatar in the simulation, or like you're the character in the movie. The real you is the actor, which is the sun. The ascendant is highly, highly particularly sensitive to the planetary movements, the grabbers, the grahas, and often indicates where we'll be grabbed by the sky and where our life story will happen in terms of momentum transits and things like that. Like, it's an accurate way to listen for sure. After the age of 45, your sun is more on board and your sun can give you another way of looking at it. But listen for all three, sun, moon, and rising. Let me know over time what fits the best. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. The Chironic wound of identity since 2019. You don't like how you look. You've had health challenges. You are not sure. I am what? I am a writer. I'm a teacher. I'm a learner. I'm a wife. I'm a husband. I'm a martyr. I'm a savior. All your I amnesses have been really like, oh my God, I don't know who I am. Your innocence and childlike wonder, daring, and do has been wounded. The part of you that would leap before it looked, that would be reckless but happy-hearted, footloose and fancy-free, daring and adventurous. These are Aryan I am vibes. That kind of has been wounded perhaps since 2019, but now you're trying to reclaim that, heal from that, and move beyond it. I do have a Taurus webinar coming up, Chiron and Taurus. In the description box is a link to get on the wait list. But the point of that is that you're going to test the waters of something new anyway on the 19th of June when Chiron enters Taurus. I've got a video out on that already. All right, go check it. But what I want you to notice is what information you get coming your way. What is this? Is it a phone call, a text message, an email? Is it a discussion in your home? You're talking to someone in the home, because that's what's going on there. Mercury's in the home. Do you have a discussion in the home with somebody? You have a lot of beauty, love, and joy in the home. This is where you live. Is this going to be a conversation with somebody you live with that opens up a healing archetype? I bet you it will. But you could also get some information or news coming from somebody from your childhood, a sibling maybe even, or a parental figure, because Mercury rules the house of siblings. So information from siblings, third house, a parental figure, news from your family of origin. And it could be bounteous, prosperous, and blessed news as well. And that little interaction of the sky there that you'll be feeling, Monday through Wednesday can open you up to some kind of, not Monday, Sunday through Tuesday can open you up to some kind of Chironic healing. You're going to have to trust me in what I'm about to tell you. Okay. What I'm about to tell you is simple. Mercury will really be here at 29 degrees of Gemini. All right. And that's going to be true for you Sunday and Monday. And that's where everything I said is true, except the information isn't coming from your home. It's coming from your siblings or your cousins or your neighbors or an email, phone call, text message in the internet land of the third house. So look for that Chironic news healing. Skip the whole fourth house thing. That's called Lori is exhausted after a 2.5-hour video. And she's moving forward anyway, because I won't be able to record. I don't have internet in my new place. So she's pushing forward. No, I'm not a masochist. There are deadlines in journalism. I was a journalist. There are deadlines on YouTube. So no, I'm not a masochist. I am just doing my job. What's a masochist? Someone who does self-punishing behaviors. Yeah, okay. That's not what I'm trying to do. And then Mercury moves into the fourth house, and he'll be there for till August 9th. That's crazy, but I've got a video out in that before this. Go watch Mercury in Cancer for like a dog's age due to retrogradation. But oh my God, what is this? Who wants to make an agreement? Who wants to make an agreement? Who wants Juno and Mars to fracture an agreement? What is the agreement that might break? You'll feel it coming on Monday through to Wednesday. You could even feel it Sunday through to Wednesday. Side story, breaking agreement. What kind of agreement? I don't know. With a sibling, one older, a friend, about money, a contentious disagreement, fracture, breakage around money and friends, money in a sibling, one older, career gains and earnings and cracking. Something's cracking here. Mars is not doing well anyway. He's a little frustrated, pushing like a bulldozer through the earnings house, and he might be feeling worn down. I have an Aries sun and moon. I can relate. And there's just something's got to give, and there's some kind of contractual maybe breakage here. Now, energetically speaking, that can also be something connected because of Mars being the ruler of various parts of your chart. Well, he's an exaltation lord of your career house. And there's a way that this may be a professional fracture or breakage. You're going to, quit something, okay? Especially with the moon, stoic and hard ass, you're going to quit something. Something's got to give. You might just quit a part of your job. You might quit the whole job. Self-note in the sixth house, something's got to give. You're ready to let go. You're having a breakage moment, and it could literally mean breaking free of a job, quitting a job. Most acute, by the way, most felt by you Tuesday and Wednesday in this week ahead, and then fading out a bit after that. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. So as the week begins, you're going to notice, forget it. As the week begins, you're going to notice that Mercury will be at 29 degrees of your second house of money, helping heal a Chironic wound about money, financial resources, and earnings, as well as addictions and self-undoing, things that you put in your mouth that undo you and your nose. And that belongs to the idea of resolution of problems in the area I described: dietary habits and patterns, earnings and money, wounds to your facial appearance, self-undoing bad habits and patterns, or digital income, borderless revenue. All of those are intertwined into one wound that on and on since 2019 belabored you. Mercury's going to do something here. Information, news, conversations, especially with a guide or a mentor or even a therapist or a doctor or a healer that can turn your story around. Now, I hope this isn't true, but this could be getting your stomach pumped out in a hospital, and you now swear to go onto a rehab center because this is hospitals and this is what you put in your mouth. And some turning points are happening here. So you'll start noticing that to be true Saturday, Sunday, Monday, okay, of this week ahead. So it's really like Monday, June 1st. But then Mercury also has moved here, and you're going to get him here in your third house of learning and stuff until August. I'm going to stop covering Mercury. I've got a whole video on that came out just before this. Instead, we're going to focus on what contractual agreements you've made in the 10th house. 10th house agreements can be wedding vows. They can be agreements connected to employment and bosses and workplaces. You signed a contract, terms of service, you are part of that business, that company, that structure, and you want to cut, end, and sever. Something is happening. You've got the knife or the scalpel in your hand, and you're getting ready to exit something. However, Mars does rule your marriage house, so be careful. With Pluto and Juno here, having a legally binding or a well-received public relationship where everyone knows you, Sonny and Cher, Bill and Hillary, you could end up with a fracture here. This is only if you're well known by many people as a twosome. You know what I mean? The Bill and Hillary and Brangelina and all of that. So if you are sort of almost like your identity is because you're paired with the other person, then there can be it can be a psychological change where you're not going to sort of carve away your own space. So you're not an Brangelina type, or Brad and Angela, Angela Jolie, or you're going to find yourself in a actual problem. Be careful here, because that could really be a crunchy moment that you're experiencing Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with a significant partner, and you may end up in a kerfuffle. Let's go back and take a look for what I'm trying to show you. You also could just quit your job, right? It's pretty exact on Tuesday. So give it a couple days before and a day or two after, and kaboom, watch out. This 10-degree break and fracture story is forewarned, forearmed. Hopefully it's not over addictive substance, self-undoing, and bad habits and patterns. But with that Mars ruling this stellium, some of that could be true. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. The sky looks like you're having a story of a particularly crunchy moment where Mars is, well, let's start with Mercury. Mercury is helping you heal a Chironic wound connected to your friendship groups and circles. You feel this Saturday through to the end of the day, Monday. It's going to be 29 degrees, so it's potent, it's climactic, and you're the microphone, you're the speaker, and you're the ideator. You have what you need to make a change to this wound. This could be a wound of social belonging and groups of friends, a wound to your long-range visions and goals in your life. I'll give me as an example of progressed Gemini sun, always wanted to be a fiction writer. That's been an epic wound in my bonnet since 2019 when Chiron entered this part of my chart. So this wound will be addressed by Lori, who will come into a more fruitful relationship with some of her long-range visions and dreams for her life. And Mercury will give me the idea, the knowledge, or the speech to come up with a plan, right? Figure it out and fix it up. What agreements could we break here? Juno in the 9th house, we want to fracture or break something or keep it, but Mars likes to cut. So we got snippety dip here. I'd say that Monday through to Wednesday is an epicenter of some kind of quitting, ending, or cutting, or severing. Now, there's many ways it could work. You could be breaking an agreement that had to do with long distance travel and simply canceling your ticket. No big deal, right? Or, which I might be doing, or you could be breaking an agreement with a boss or an employee-employer structures down here. You could be terminating an employee, and you're looking at fracturing a legal binding agreement that you've made with that person. It's time to exit stage left. You might be also fracturing or breaking agreements that have to do with courts and legal matters. Hey guys, I don't know. I told the judge I'd do this, but I'm not going to. I changed my mind. Where Mars is sitting is very interesting. He's really operating in a pilgrimage house. He wants to go off and be in an ashram connected to the 9th house of pilgrimages. And there's almost like a need to shut down here, especially when it comes to your work life. It's so maybe you're going to break agreements around publishing or, for example, I could say I'm going to stop writing on Substack. That would be an agreement to stop publishing, but something has to change. Mars is tired and bulldozing. He wants the most solitude and quietude. And all Geminis can feel this. Human resource departments and corporations, breaking agreements, quitting, terminating something. And Mars rules your work, your job, your employment and employee stories. I don't mind the fact that there's a trine from the sun to try to smooth it all out, right? So even if something breaks, there's a happy ending. There's some sense of a glorious flow of air that says, it's all right, baby. And you'll find your way through it, especially if you want to move away from structured work and move into more of a writing, creativity in your environment of your online world, entrepreneurial endeavors, and away from anything too structured. Some of you might make that break as well, like corporate, get out of corporate. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. Well, we begin the week trying to heal a Chironic wound. Mercury is trying to line up to grand finale at the 29th degree of Gemini at the time. This will be on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You'll feel it. End of day Monday. And you might be healing something connected quite possibly to your reputation up here, how the world sees you, or how you are operating in your work life and your visible career path in life. And Mercury here is trying to break a wound up there. And, Mercury can be news or information from somebody in a distant shore or land, but you can also generate a chunk of money your way, especially if you work in the social media landscape. So if you've been wounded in your career, nothing like a good payout from international digital borderless income and revenue to make you feel like hey, the wound ain't really there. I'm doing great. Look for backroom deals and negotiations to offer glorious prospects that make you feel good in your career because people are working on the back end to get you some success. The fracture story that feels like an ouchie because something's got to be cut is Mars is cutting, and you'll feel it exactly Tuesday. So give it 2 days before and a day after this Tuesday. Mars is cutting and severing a Juno agreement. Now, Juno's in a very chunky money house. This is spousal shared monies, right? This is money that belongs to mortgages and bank accounts and credit cards and investments and book royalty income. And it's unearned shared resource money. Even in-laws have money here for you. I kind of think you're cutting, severing, ending something's being cut. Now, because this is people, this could be a friend, this could be a colleague, this could be a sibling one older, and there can be a bit of a breakage here around a financial matter with those people. And you might notice that also on Tuesday, Mars, who rules your fifth house, may be a very intense, difficult circumstance with a child and finances, okay? So I don't know what it is. It could be anything, a disagreement, right? A money challenge connected to a child and chunks of money. So maybe they need to borrow money from you and you're like feeling, I'm going to have to say no. I don't think this is good for me or something like that. All said and done, though, the trine from the sun does smooth things out a bit, and you're feeling really good as a general principle about getting through some of your deeper stories of your unwinding of your own bad patterns and habits and your own self-undoing and addictions. But more importantly, you're letting this cut serve you in some way. What is this cut for? Ultimately, with Mars also ruling your career house, what you cut away on the financial front may also benefit your career in some way as well. But don't discount some issues with kids or romantic love partners that you're dating and money. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. You look like you're going to have a week where the Chironic healing is kicking in Saturday through to the end of the day, Monday. So, you'll be getting this at the tail end of it, at the finale, where Mercury at the 29th degree then of Gemini finishes a Chironic wound to your spiritual life, to your spiritual belief, to feeling on purpose, to your religious path, to your court and legal matters, to your publishing world, to father figures, to a sibling too older, and on we go. These are Chironic wounded places that you've been dealing with since 2019. Now there's a bit of information that wants to come from the 11th house. Look for a phone call, text, or email from a friend, from a colleague, or from a sibling one older that does a soothing balm on an old Chironic wound that's getting ready to finish up. Now, I like the idea of the square here for you if you're needing to exit something in your professional life or home life, and it's time for that to crack or fracture. You could fracture a relationship to a committed love partner. You could fracture an agreement you made, a binding agreement regarding an obligation professionally, or you could even fracture a binding agreement revolving around real estate, home, and property and where you live, like, a lease or any of those kinds of things. So you want to make a change. You're willing to sever. Now, it's possible with anytime Mars is in the 10th house, you get cut out, like you get fired from your job, or the company shuts down your division. So I can't promise you a rose garden, but at the end of the day, a transformation results, and the cutting is definitely in the house of legal contracts, because for the most part, the 7th house are legal contracts. Are you working too hard? Are you tired? Are you burned out? Are you emo in the work environment and you're ready to cut, but you're ready to go or change your job responsibilities and duties? Something wants to change here. And I think you're going to feel it all the way through to Wednesday, right? So it'll be like Sunday through to Wednesday, there's something going on here. So pay attention, see what happens, take some notes. I think that if you make a change in your relationship, if that's the whole thing that you want to do, like this isn't working for you anymore, this could be announcing a divorce or a separation to the world, right? You're done. You're going to the whole world sees the cutting. It's highly visible. Everyone notices that you cut out. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Cutting out of, let's start with Mercury. There is a Chironic healing, and it works Saturday through to the end of the day, Monday, where you want to tie up loose ends in a chunky money wound? Did you spend the entire family inheritance? Did you gamble away money that wasn't yours? Did in-laws treat you badly financially? Did your spouse not share money's resource was at his or her own money with you fairly? Did you get a bum deal in a separation agreement? On and on we go. Chunky money problemos that have been ongoing since 2019. Unearned income and shared resource money may have been slightly wounded. Sure, you might have gotten Chironic healers and therapists into the mix and maybe learned occult arts from a shaman, but all said and done, most of you probably had money challenges of some kind. Now, when Mercury is going to heal that, it's from the 10th house of your career and reputation. And so there is possibly notification, like an email, a phone call, a conversation with a boss that's going to make you feel good about that chunky money. It could even be a commission check, a sign-on bonus, performance review check of money. Something feels good here. It's going to liberate you from a sense of, I could have done better with that money. Now, Mercury is the Lord of your sign, and he will do his best to bring you something extremely good from the sextile and the Chironic wound that has been a challenge there. Yes, since 2019. Now, fracturing and breaking something is Mars. Mars is cutting, severing, and ending, or cracking and breaking something from the 9th house. And he's breaking with Juno and Pluto, especially Juno here. There is a need to consider that there is an agreement that you're looking at kiboshing. No, he was in this particular tight square to Pluto on the weekend of May the 24th, 3rd, 4th, right? And now it's taken something further. Something's got to give. And what have you agreed to in your job, your work, your employment, your servitude, your rental contracts? I don't think it's a rental contract based on Mars in the 9th house. That would be like human resources, submitting your resignation or being told that your division is being laid off. And that's okay with you because you were tired anyway. It was time to go. You've lost the joy, the fun, and the emotional pleasure of life. And that trine to Mars says, let's restore that to your life. Will we end, cut, and sever something that really got you down? And it can be something to do with work and agreements you made and a desire to cut out. On the same token, whatever you cut out doesn't have to be the whole job, maybe just a duty or responsibility or a function. You do see a beautiful glow with the sun in your 10th house, and that could be a new contract. So it could be a combination of the ending of one particular position in work and the beginning of something new that's much more agreeable to you. And you'll start to notice that playing out Saturday through till Wednesday. So it can be both an ending and a beginning in your kind of a chart. Oh, you might have to cancel a travel plan that you had for international travel because of work obligations, but you're more than happy to do it. Mars is the ruler of your 3rd house of short distance travel, and he's in a house of long distance travel. So I'll give you both. Short and long distance travel plans could be canceled because of something going on with the work that's positive, but won't accommodate that travel. That's another story that you might be able to make from this sky. Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. There's nothing like a Chironic healing when this Chironic wound in the house of committed long-term love partners and business relationships is activated after 2019 in a mercurial tail end grand climax. Look for that to be true Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. At the end of the day, Monday into Tuesday, it begins to wane. And that was Mercury fulfilling a mission to give you information or news or communication. Could be coming from a pastor, a priest, a rabbi, a guide, a counselor, a therapist. Could be a breakthrough therapy session about how your relationship to relationship itself. Information or news is also coming through, maybe from a sibling too older that's very supportive and useful for you, and maybe a sibling 4 younger. Both of those siblings can be the source of news that you are using as a healing vector. Now, a lot of you chose bad business partners or wounded marriage partners, suffering and struggling, or you were wounded in those marriage type relationships since 2019, business and love. So there's something good trying to change here. And Mercury is also in a house to do with legal matters. And if you're in a divorce agreement, settlement, changes like that, it's probably a good notice from the court that they agreed with you and the mediators agreed with you and things are going to go your way in any kind of settlements to do with divorce and separation. We're going to see Mars cutting and severing from the chunky money house to Pluto here. It could be some and big severing, cutting, snipping, conflict energy around binding agreements you've made to your what? Fifth house people. Your lover, your children. What binding agreements with children have you made, adult or young, that may involve financial matters? What binding agreements have you made connected to a significant long-term love partner and matters to do with children? Maybe you changed your mind. You don't want kids. Saturn rules your house of children and the house of significant other. There's fracturing of agreements that have been made and you're making a change of direction. Some of these will involve shared money with other people, including children, or children wanting some financial support, and you're having to make some hard decisions, maybe cut off a dependent child. I'm done subsidizing your life, get a job or something like that. If you have kids, it can be deep soul work, really cutting away from a burdensome situation of being tethered to your children. I don't mean you're like 6-year-old. I mean like the adult children, right? No one wants to cut a tether on a 6-year-old. Mars does rule your house of money. It could be the financial burden you have with your children, agreements you've made financially with your children. And you're definitely looking at a maybe exit strategy. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. There is a sky that tells us that you have a narrative. What's a narrative? Is Lori going to quit her job and go rest in peace? I do like my work, Scorpio, but I don't like to do this much recording in a day. And you know what? I'm going to complain to Scorpios only. Guys, because you keep a secret like nobody else, right? Can you keep a secret, Scorpio, till waters run deep? You 3-letter agency beasties, I'll tell you, it's like the thing that goes on as a content creator is you don't get a vacation, and you have to like pump out pre-recorded content before you go on vacation so that you can take the vacation, to the point where this morning I realized I rented a place without Wi-Fi in the summer, a cottage for a week. It's beautiful. And my sister, who's my assistant, calls me and says, "We can't do that, Lori. I'll be there with you. Neither of us can go for a week without internet." And the reason I'm bringing it up is I'm moving, and most people say, well, I'm going to dedicate this 4 days to moving, and I'm trying to continue the content creation treadmill, and do a move. So thank you, Scorpios. Shh. Okay. If you're a Scorpio, please tell nobody that I told you this. All the other signs weren't listening to your sign. It's just for you and me, Scorpio. I needed someone to lean on. Thank you for listening. All right, back to the real story of you. Be careful, because this is your marriage partnership or your business partnership. Somebody's got a pair of scissors here, and they're frustrated and they're grumpy and they're tired and they're pushing through and they're feeling heavy. It's hard to push a bulldozer in, Taurus soil when Mars likes to fleet-footedly go to battle and charge forward recklessly across the battlefield. So there's a problem here. Your partner might be you might be separated, like travel, but your partner may be going through a difficult time in love or business, or there could be a really gnarly troll. But the square to the Juno story in the 4th house could be a fracturing of a vow. And by the way, Juno is the marriage goddess. So why I said be careful is the last thing you want is for you and your partner to crack apart and decide not to stay married under short-term stress. Okay? It will, but it can look like a domestic blowout with somebody that's important to you in your life. And this is very domestic and marital energy playing out here. If you're not married, don't worry about it. Okay? It's not your story. It means, what do it mean if I'm not married? Well, it means that something else is happening. This is a troll, and they're attacking you, and it's causing distress in the house, and you want to break away and change your neighborhood and quit your rental property because the troll lives down the street in the neighborhood. Okay, guys, make a story. Something feels challenging and something wants to give. Now, it could be that it's just going to be strong propulsion to relocate your home. That's all. Because that can be a major decision that's happening with you and another person to move your home. That's all. But also contractors, servants, laborers, people you'd hire to do things in your home, you may have tension with them. Mars rules the 6. There may be a blowout. You may fire them. They may have not done a good job, or they didn't show up. So when it comes to labor and contractual agreements for construction or help or cleaners or anything in your home, there can be just a breakage of that agreement, right? That's all. No big deal. Take a deep breath. Doesn't mean you're going to get a divorce. All right. So keep abreast of that one. Anything else? No. Mars is your ruler. Anything that fractures is for your highest good. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. Let's keep trundling along on one of my fastest ever videos for a Monday. It looks to me like Mercury wants to help heal chironic wounds Saturday through the end of the day, Monday, as he dispenses some good news from your marriage partner, business partner, audience, marketplace clients, and helps you heal a wound around entrepreneurship, joy, fun, play, pleasure, fertility and children, love and romance, art and creativity, children. I said children. I look for a bit of information coming across the way from someone important to you, a phone call, a text, an email, a significant relationship person communicating with you, probably Sunday, Monday, and that's leading to a healing of this wound. I'm not creative. I'm not using my talents and gifts. I don't like my kids. My lover doesn't like me. My sex life is non-existent. Honestly, if this is a healing, you could go on a blisteringly great date and recover your joy of sex. Seriously. Isn't that a book, The Joy of Sex? So definitely go out on a date on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. This could help heal a problem that's been festering here in the house of sexual love and romance since 2019. All right. Watch for the square between Mars and Juno that's appearing, to be exact, on Tuesday. 2 days before and a day after, you'll notice there's something that's going to be blowing out. Some struggle to do with an agreement you might have made. Might take you back to the weekend of the 24th. Might have been operational when Mars was squaring Pluto more accurately. It could be about a sibling blowout, about debts, money, karmic debts with siblings, financial money situations with siblings, cousins as well, your kinfolk. Could be a blowout in a work and job situation regarding a trip and travel and a need to cancel that because of work responsibility. And there can be a blowout with a neighbor or someone who lives close by. And then again, it would be about sixth house matters, your pets, but because it's got so much contractual energy here, there's something about what we agreed to. We agreed your pet would never come to this part of the city because, or we agreed that, when you would definitely take this trip for your work and, do it anyway, even though you have to take care of your elderly parent. So you will break an agreement with travel, with work, with pets. You could break a rental agreement. You'd agreed to rent your property out to a tenant, and you could fracture that agreement as well. Or you agreed to rent a property and you could change your mind and fracture that agreement as well, especially if there's a rental property opportunity in a place that's distant or far from where you currently live. Okay. Your tenant or you moving into tenancies, and it wouldn't be like the house next door to you, right? No. It could be fractures of agreements regarding tenancies, rentals, property, regarding children as well. It will pass. It doesn't last. It's really intense on Tuesday, give or take 2 days before and a day after. Write it out. Hey, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising. Well, the chironic wound of where do I live? How do I belong? Where's my true home? Why do I don't belong in the city, a town, or environment? This isn't for me. A wound regarding domicile. 2019, a home wound began. And as that was true, you could be sick in the home, health challenges in the home. But as that was true, whatever's going on in your home wound, Mercury's trying to do a climactic, a fixer-upper project, and he's going to be landing his ass here at the tail end of your sixth house. This is a rentals house to rent a property, to lease a property as a tenant or landlord. Possibly you're going to come across something golden, some glorious rental property opportunity coming your way, right? And it's really close to it's the last day of May, the 31st, through to about June the 3rd. And so you could find a glorious rental property, or you could find the perfect tenant for your place, and allows you to travel or move and unwound yourself here. Also, wounds with animals, pets in the home. Now there's something turning here as well. Debts related to the home, including mortgage payments, a nice turning here as well. And you could get a job close to home if you were looking for work as well. Now, we move past that and we talk about Mars squaring Juno. He was squaring Pluto the weekend of the 23rd, 24th. Now he's squaring Juno after Pluto. Same story, two parts maybe. Is there something that has a quality of a financial situation, money and earnings and possessions and resources and agreements and contracts connected maybe to Mars in your house of children, romantic love partners, entrepreneurial business stories? With the sun also trining the same story and ruling the house of chunks of money or shared income, there's probably something going on with a debt you pay to someone that could be coming to an end, like spousal support, alimony, paying back a loan to a friend or anybody, and you might be clearing that. But Mars fractures and cuts sometimes. And I'd say you could have a difficult disagreement about a financial situation that involves a child, one of your adult children, obviously. We're not going to squabble about your kid's piggy bank. And I don't know, because the way Mars is working in the fifth house, he's trying his best to gin up enthusiasm for creativity, entrepreneurship, romantic love. And all of a sudden, there's like verbal agreements we've made, Juno, about commitments, and there's intensity and maybe breakage or fracture. Mars rules your 11th house of friends, social groups, and a sibling one older. Possibly some of this intensity involves those types of people and some agreements made with them as well. And maybe it is all about agreeing to change your direction on a verbal commitment you've made to a child, to a romantic love partner, to a friend, or to a sibling one older. I would go back to the weekend of May 23rd, 24th, if you can, because the energy was still activated then, but more so with the Plutonian energy. Now the agreement structures want to be cut or changed in a significant way. All right. Oh, man. An agreement regarding a situation connected to the home. Okay. As well. And money and home and agreements and change. If you agreed to support your kid, no matter what, old financially, or offer some financial assistance, this might be a change of agreement. Or if your child was owing you money, they may change their agreements around wanting to pay it back. There's something about money and kids in here. It could be very intense as well. There's going to be a kid moving out of the house, by the way, if you have adult children still living at home, right? Mars rules the home, kid leaving the home, and some intensity around that here. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. I am one of you. I notice that we have this story going on where we are healing a Chironic wound Saturday through Tuesday, really feeling it Monday epicenter, Sunday, Monday. It's a wound that we've been experiencing regarding writing, short distance travel, communication. I found out I'm autistic. It really helped to learn it. That's why I have a communications wound. It's around your local neighbors and neighborhood, siblings in general, and wounds around things to do with your social media, online landscape, and your writing, teaching, communicating, marketing, selling. Those wounds have been around since 2019, and now you're healing them. Okay, I stopped writing in 2019. Anything of value. Only in the last year and a bit have I started writing again. For example, I'm Aquarius rising. Now, Mercury, the newsman, will be at the last degree of your fifth house of entrepreneurship, creativity, the muse, inspiration, and children. Possibly you're healing a wound about writing, for example, because a great creative project is taking off. Maybe you're going to have an entrepreneurial success story in the online world that heals a wound of, like, here's me, I work my ass off, but other people get to like 5 million subscribers in a month. I'm making stuff up. But if you're on YouTube as a content creator, you're always comparing your pace to other people. It's a really dumb thing to do. I think that Mercury is quite capable at the last degree of your fifth house of delivering some good news about one of your children that heals a Chironic wound in your life to do with your mind. If you've been mentally disturbed by things, your thinking mind, it's really third house is the mind and the intellect. And maybe there's information or news about one of your kids. It kind of takes the edge off of some of that mental disturbance that your kids could bring you in this life. Any of your children, in this case, one younger firstborn or secondborn, could be activated. And when Mercury's at the tail end of Gemini, possibly you're going to find yourself feeling like a spark of the muse is like got you by the balls and you've just got to go with it. Like you have the best book idea, the best creative idea, the best course idea. You've got some kind of like light under your fire, or you could be going viral online because of Uranus co-present. So pay attention to this nice little healing of what you communicate to the world in some kind of sense that it has purpose and meaning, and it's in its own right. So again, you'll see that Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Then as we move forward, we'll notice that already on Sunday through to Wednesday, we're going to see cutting, severing Mars wanting to square away with Juno. It's waning on Wednesday, so you should see it in the first half of the week. A fracture, a breakage of an agreement. Juno is a marriage goddess as well, and she's looking with you at the marriage house. You're going to have Juno in your first house until the end of the year, minus a hiatus or a break. I can't remember when, sometime in the fall. What I'm trying to say, and she got here December 29th, is all Aquarians are going to look at the world through the lens of I want a long-term committed love partnership. That's what it means. You could be also, I want a binding business partnership too, but it means both. And so now you've got this tension. There could be a squalor here, a squall, like a bad weather storm in the domestic environment regarding commitments and agreements with some people or persons that you live with. Mars is also the ruler of your third house. Could be a disagreement with a sibling, could be a disagreement with a local neighbor or neighborhood situation or friend. Any binding agreement that you're thinking you want to break, you will break it. It will be broken. And you might have been wondering about that same thing in May 23rd, 24th, when there was a Mars square Pluto. You'll notice that Mars is also the ruler of your Scorpionic 10th house of career and reputation. And if you work from home, you might want to break an agreement that you've made professionally, but you're doing it in home and from home because that's your workplace. You work from home. So one thing I'd say is just watch out. Of course, anytime you have Mars in the fourth house, you could have domestic violence. You could have injuries in the home, but it's really about agreements. So there's just such intensity from the fourth house. It could impact even long-term love relationships. But, with the sun trining Juno, this could take a lover or romantic partner into the level of a new commitment to the relationship. But at some point here, something is cracking at roughly just around the same time. If you work for a company and you're not self-employed, this could easily have you quit your job and go into entrepreneurial direction. So those are considerations the first half of this week ahead. Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. The sky tells us that you're opening up a healing of a chironic wound, putting a little ointment on it and making the scab, better or something. It's so gross, isn't it? Sorry about that. But the wound that Chiron has is money wounds since 2019. Maybe facial wounds, your teeth, problems with your face or teeth, maybe wounds to your dietary habits. Maybe you vacillated between extremes in your diet. You couldn't figure out the right path. But all said and done now, Chiron's here. Now he's got a wound. It's usually a money wound. Started 2019. Mercury's bringing a nice light touch. Hey, last climactic energetic. Mercury at the tail end of Gemini. And it's your home, your domestic life, the place you live, what you do in and from the home. If there's a chironic healing and you market, sell, write, or communicate from home, especially online, there could be a nice little buzz for you, maybe even a viral hit, something that glows you up, not only in your self-esteem, but also in your finances. You could hear from a sibling or a childhood friend or something connected to your growing up in your household, and you could hear from some of those people that you grew up with, and whatever the news or information coming from them is, it helps heal that wound, chironic wound. Information in the home from the spouse, a conversation, and it may deal with money, helps heal a chironic wound. Like, oh, honey, I love that you're making money and you're great. I don't know, making shit up. Spousal verbal support in the home can increase self-esteem and heal a wound of self-worth, value, and money. Sunday through to end of day Monday, probably even a little on Saturday. All right, let's talk next about the square, the fracture energy. You may find that you are wanting to break agreements of some kind. It could be an agreement you made to a sibling, a neighbor, a cousin. That's Mars in the fourth house, or they could be breaking agreements with you. But it connects to agreements in 12th house matters. Agreements that were formed verbally or written about travel, trips, journeys, siblings. Agreements that were formed about travel and international travel and cancellations, agreements that were formed about long distance travel or short distance travel, and breaking those agreements, basically, maybe over financial reasons. And I think that Mars squaring Juno, I'll go back to the weekend of the 23rd, 24th, where you're feeling a pressure there, but wanting to break an agreement. We're sure now that those agreements can be broken. Now they can happen. You could be that neighbor, that sibling, and someone else is doing the breaking of the agreement, not you. It doesn't have to be you. It could even be siblings two younger, especially, or a sibling one older, breaking agreements with you. And that's okay, because something needed to break. It wasn't time for that thing to happen. So if someone's done that to you, let it go. It's what was supposed to happen. If you make borderless income and digital revenue, you work online, you have an international company you work for, you're a nomad, digital nomad, or you work in another country from your home of birth or place of birth. Well, if that's the case, and some of you are looking at a change of structure and agreements around these kinds of money sources. Okay. Some of you might shut down a website, close down a social media platform. You might be wanting to break agreements too, because even though you might be cashing in on long distance money energy, you also may be craving some solitude or some downtime because the work you're doing is successful but hard. It could even be as simple as pausing your calendar for 2 months if you're self-employed and not seeing clients or doing any work. I need a break, is what I'm hearing you say. So some of you will be taking a break, not necessarily closing down shop, but taking a break. And you might use that for retreat, contemplation, short distance travel, ashrams, stillness and solitude. Some kind of thing needs a break and you need to recover and rejuvenate. And you'll call this my time of my rejuvenation. It might be only 2 weeks. It might be longer. It might be as long as Mars is in Taurus, right? Which is what? Till June 28th. Taking a break, time out corner, cutting away from social media, responsibilities, business duties, writing, communicating, scrying, divining, marketing, selling. Cut, suppresses. I need a break. I think it's just a break for many of you. But watch for some breaking of travel plans and some fractures with siblings. 3 crows all sitting together. That's unusual. 2, 4. Now there's 4 crows. Oh my God, they're now swirling in front of my window. For all you Pisces, what's your relationship to crows? They don't seem to be angry with each other. They're very playful, I think. Now there's 2 in the tree and 2 swirling. They look like couples. All right. That's a message for all of you Pisces. Lots of crow energy for you today. 4 crows, actually, playfully swooning on a windy day. I think they're having fun drafting the air. All right. So I'm going to finish up with you. And now we're going to move ahead and we're going to do a members only section. It's going to be short, guys. Members only. We're going to start with that next. It's going to be talk a little more freely about my worries with world's politics and this particular sky. Thanks for listening. For my regulars who don't do members only, that's just fine. All my members only content is also available, the extra content over at Patreon, members only content here on YouTube as well. All right, so let's get going and do the members only section. Wish me luck on the move. I'm recording on Monday the 25th, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are move days. Movers, getting keys, cleaning, handover inspections, on and on. You know how it is, right? All right. Take care, guys. Bye.
Lunatic astrology.